Title of this video is Delivery Driver Stabbed Customer Over Small Tip, investigators say. Before I watch this video, we just reached a whole new level of how bad tip culture is. It got to the point where someone stabbed someone to death. Whoa. Did they die? I don't know. I just saw the customer stabbed. But even to that point, people were willing to stab. Cause immense violence over tips. Tip culture is ridiculous. I mean, I'm someone who can say it because I've worked in the industry. I've worked as a busser, I worked as a runner, and I worked as a server. Depending on tips. And now that I'm no longer in that environment, I can look back and say it's not worth it. We need to get rid of it. I don't care anymore. It's stupid. Let's watch this before I go further about that.
We start tonight at 11 with new details just in about a story that is now making national headlines. A local pizza delivery driver accused of stabbing a customer 14 times in front of her child. Deputies say she was angry over a small tip. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Lisa.
Just that snippet alone, 17 seconds in the video. Stabbed 14 times. How triggered do you have to be willing to stab someone 14 times in front of their 5-year-old? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, I'm having a hard time processing this. Like, you're going to be going to jail for like a long time over a bad tip? Dude, I've gotten numerous bad tips. I've had so many people who didn't tip at all. But to like commit violence over that? Like, what are you thinking? Like, something must have triggered this person. Like, had a bad day like all week or something. And she's just fuming. And probably life is hard, this and that. I know, I get it. Especially if you're working, as a pizza delivery person, you're not making that much money. Everything's getting more expensive. Rent's getting more expensive. Car insurance getting more expensive. Like, everything's getting more expensive. Probably went from bad customer, treating you like crap to the point where like this one, he was like, that's it. Blew up. Stabby, stabby, stabby. Oh. And in front of their child. That made my stomach turn a little bit hearing that. Like, what in your mind that made you think, okay, you know what? Screw this person. I don't care there's a 5-year-old child in there. I'm still going to pull out a knife and start stabbing 14 times. And that little kid's going to be traumatized. Like, what in their head that convinced them this is the go execute the plan? Like, what? Who thought? Like, oh my God. I can't even process that. Like, I'm so speechless. Like, how do you get to that point in your head? Oh my God.
Isabel, Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden had the night off. Tonight, her attempted murder charge has been upgraded to first-degree murder, and there's someone else deputies want to question. Investigators say when 22-year-old Brianna Alvelo came...
First degree, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but correct me if I'm wrong, that means you planned it. Does that mean, like, she knew this person and plotted to, stab this person? Because second degree was like, it's not planned. It's just heat of the moment, right? That's what I think this is. But if they want to make an example of her, like, hey, don't be stabbing people over bad tips. I don't know.
Back to the Riviera Motel in Kissimmee on Earl Bronson Memorial Highway. She had a man with her. That hotel is about 1.5 miles southeast of the Silver Spurs Arena. News 6 reporter Stephanie Rodriguez is in Osceola County with the new details about what happened.
It was here at the Riviera Motel that police say a woman was stabbed 14 times by a pizza delivery driver who had dropped off food to her room just an hour and a half before.
Good morning, ma'am. Please state your name.
Brianna Alvelo.
According to the arrest report, 22-year-old Brianna Alvelo was working at Marco's Pizza when she stopped by the motel for a delivery on Sunday. She was greeted by Melinda Irisari, who was in the motel with her boyfriend and 5-year-old daughter. According to police, Irisari paid her $33 bill with the $50 expecting change. But when Alvelo started to walk away, Irisari said she didn't want to leave a large tip, but Alvelo said they don't provide change. That's when police say Irisari began searching her motel room and called.
Okay, I have friends who worked in pizza delivery and they've always carried change. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're not supposed to. They carry change in this situation. And I know personally as a customer where I've had a large bill and the guy gave me back change, I take some of that change and I give some of it to him as a tip. I don't know. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, that's weird to me. What delivery person doesn't carry change on them in case they get cash tips, but the tip is a little bit too big, so they give them some, you know what I'm saying?
For smaller bills, eventually only leaving a $2 tip. Later that night, the family was asleep when police say Alvelo returned.
You're willing to commit murder over $2. That's how you're going to go down in life. It's $2. A $2 tip triggered you. You know how many times I've got 0 tips and busted my ass for people? And I know I have friends, and I'm sure there's people in the comment section who's going to say they worked in a pizza delivery or some form of delivery where they got $0. Yeah, it's frustrating. I can only imagine. But to get to the point where you want to attempt murder, like, holy crap. But of course, it would be Florida who achieved this. They unlocked this achievement that someone went to the point where they wanted to make tip culture look so bad to the point of attempted murder. Or did the 14 times stab, did the person make it through? I don't know if they did or not, and they made it sound like it. I mean, first degree murder, it sounds like, or is it, I don't know.
Police say video shows Alvelo and a man wearing face masks arrive at the motel. Irisari told investigators a man pointed a gun at her boyfriend, forcing him into the bathroom. He told investigators they didn't take anything, but that they knew what they were there for. Alvelo began breaking their belongings and stabbed Irisari 14 times. Irisari told police she believed Alvelo was trying to kill her and was afraid for her life and her daughters. She was taken to the hospital for emergency surgery, where she learned she was a few weeks pregnant. Investigators say they came here to the Marco's Pizza on Chaps Place, and the manager confirmed that Alvelo was the one who delivered the order to Riviera Motel. She was arrested right here on Monday. A company spokesperson told News 6 the safety and well-being of customers and team members are always...
Well, the company does have to make a statement, of course, right? One of their employees is out there stabbing people because of poor tips. Their slogan can't be like, hey, tip as well or get stabbed. That's why I believe tip culture needs to go away. And you know who the ultimate responsibility is? It's not the customer. It's not the customer's responsibility that another company's employee is making their wages. It's the employer's responsibility of the employee's wages, not the customer, ever. When I finally figured that out, working as a server, busser, and a runner, like, I cannot ultimately be mad at the customer. I can only be mad at my employer who's not giving me the wages I need. But you know what? At the same time, it was my fault for agreeing to those terms. Once I finally figured that out and wrapped it up, I said, I'm never going to work in this industry again. It's not worth it. I'm just stressed out all the time. And I could be mad at my employer. I could be mad at the customer. There's too many people for me to be mad at. This industry is stupid. And then now tip culture is getting so outrageous. It used to be 10%. Then it went to 15%. Then 20%. Now people are pushing 25% of a tip. It's like, what? This now is getting to like this weird entitlement phase where people feel entitled, where they deserve more. It's like, take it up with your employer, not the customer. It's not the customer's problem that you're not getting the appropriate wages. I could rant about this forever.
Is our top priority, and we are taking this incident very seriously. Alvelo is charged with home invasion with a firearm, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. She was originally charged with attempted murder, but is now facing a premeditated murder charge. News 6 is working to confirm who died. She was denied bond.
The state believes that this is a punishable by life offense.
Police continue to search for the man they say helped Alvelo attack the family over a bad tip. Anyone with information is urged to contact them. Reporting in Kissimmee, Stephanie Rodriguez, Getting Results, News 6.
Stephanie, thank you. If you can help investigate.
So, did the customer die? Give me 1 second as I look this up. I'm on usatoday.com to get more details, and I'm sorry for all the ads. I'm going to block all this out. Holy crap, the ads on this website. But it says, I guess I missed it in the video that, okay, she tipped her, and then the delivery driver left, and then later came back to the motel room, armed with a knife and accompanied by an unknown male suspect with a firearm. And that's where they forced their way in the room and just started stabbing. Like, there's another person involved in this. Unknown male suspect with a firearm. If there's another person, an accomplice, who said, yeah, you got a $2 tip, let's teach him a lesson. Not like, hey, $2 tip, okay, it's not worth it. I know you're mad. You know, I've dealt with a lot of crappy customers. But I don't think we should just bust in and start, with the stabbing and pulling a gun on people because they left over a tip, right? I don't think that's a good idea. The victim was transported to a local hospital and is currently in stable condition. So I'm happy that the person who got stabbed, the victim, didn't die. Terrible experience. Very terrible experience to, you order pizza and give $2 tips. I know some of you guys are saying, if you're not going to tip very well, don't order food. It's like, you know what? The customer and the company agreed on this exchange. It's not up to the customer's responsibility to tip their employee, to compensate their employee. If the employee is mad over the compensation, they can't direct that frustration to the customer. It needs to go back to the employer and say, hey, only got a $2 tip. Can you give me a little extra to make up for a bad tip? It's ultimately not the customer's responsibility. Customer paid what was required. And the company agreed. Said, we will give you these pizzas for this charge. Customer said, okay, I agree to that. End of story. Nowhere in the terms, conditions, or anything it says you must tip our employee. What do you mean? That's your employee. That's your responsibility to pay them. But then again, it goes back to, the employee and the employer came to an agreement on compensation. And if you don't like it, you can look for another job, or you go back to your employer and say, hey, I deserve more money. But in no way, shape, or form should the customer be involved. Ever. Customer already made the agreement. I paid for the pizzas, and the company agreed to send someone out to deliver the pizzas. You know who doesn't get tipped? Mailman. They deliver my mail a lot of times in front of my door. Amazon drivers. Should I tip them? They deliver things right to my door. They never ask for a tip. What would it be like if Amazon drivers started asking for tips? FedEx just dropped something off to me yesterday. And in 2 days, Home Depot is going to drop off something to me at my front door. They've done it multiple times where they just drop it off and walk away. I mean, should they ask for tips? But for some reason, when it comes to food, like DoorDash and pizza delivery, oh yeah, you're supposed to tip those delivery drivers. But other delivery drivers, you don't. Let me read the comments here. Let me see if other people agree with me or don't agree with me. The first comment says, damn, she messed up her life for a tip. How dumb. Yeah, can you imagine, explain this to your family and friends, and when you go to prison? What are you in here for? I got a bad tip, so I started stabbing someone 14 times. And they didn't die. I stabbed someone 14 times and they still lived. The next person said the same thing. Imagine throwing your life away over a tip. Doesn't get that much dumber than this. I mean, the whole tip culture just feeds to the entitlement culture and our already existing mental health problem in this country, where everyone's on edge and on their tipping point. Oh, no pun intended. But yeah, people are fuming. Everywhere you go, people are fuming. They're stressed out. And a lot of times, I understand the frustration, but it's not fair to channel your world's frustrations on people. Especially people undeserving, and it's uncalled for. There's different ways to manage your stress, but it's not fair to channel it to other people. That's how like road rage happens when people are pissed off at the world, and then that one asshole who cuts them off, no turn signal, rides the brakes, they blow up and they just want to destroy things. Like, control your emotions. It's your responsibility to control your emotions, not the next asshole who's out there. Believe me, there are people who will defend this demon. Like, you know what? Sometimes when I talk about tip culture, it's people who will work in the industry right now of some type of tip culture industry. And there's a lot now, apparently. You can just be a cashier and demand a tip. Or they fight this, but like, oh, if you can't afford it, don't go tip. Like, dude, it's not me as the customer responsibility. Understand that. Like, I've been in that industry. I fully understand that it's not the customer's responsibility. The customer already made an agreement on one payment. Last thing they need is a hidden fee, a surprise fee. We all hate those. A surprise gratuity? It's like, no. The only time I really care about tipping is like servers, or when I go to restaurants. Of course, the service has to tip out the runners and the bussers, but servers, I mean, they do a lot of above and beyond stuff that's not required of them. If you think about it, a server, all they have to do is bring your food and take your plates. That's it. That's the minimum that a server has to do. They take your order, bring your food, and take your empty plates. But if they're coming back, refilling your drinks, giving you new drinks, new silverware, new plates, always asking you how are you doing, is there anything else I can get you, they're going above and beyond, and a gratuity is warranted. I can see that. And I've also had like tour guides who I tipped out generously because they blew my mind with all their knowledge and everything they've taught me. Good jokes here and that. But there's people who just swing their freaking register over after they just took my order and wanting a tip. I'm like, no, how do I put negative 15%? This is ridiculous. Note to self, do not order from Marco's Pizza. I wonder if there's going to be memes from this. Do you guys think people are going to make memes about this poor company now because they have employees willing to attempt murder on customers over bad tips? You can't even order food in these days without getting killed. Now there's a possibility that when you order food, you might get killed by the delivery driver now. What, are we supposed to be intimidated now? Like, oh God, I better tip well or else they're going to try to kill me. That's not a society I want to live in. I don't understand the tip system in general. Why is it a customer's job to pay someone's employee? Isn't the service part of the whole deal? You know, I guess I'm guilty of it that when I worked in the tip industry, I would argue this, that you should tip this and that, this and that. But now that I'm away from it, and I could just look at the bigger picture of things, no, it's just, I'm a customer now. And I tip if I feel like tipping. Honestly. If I feel like tipping, great for you. If I don't feel like tipping, you're not in a position to be mad at me. And that's what I learned. Like, I'm not in a position to be mad at the customer. I could be maybe mad at the employer and ask for a better compensation, or I'd be mad at myself for accepting this role, and maybe I should quit and do something else. And that's what I did ultimately. Okay, I have to read this thread. The replies. This person has 9 replies. The first one says, "It's not the problem is entitlement." I truly believe that's what it is, and they just keep pushing the limits. Instead of 15%, ask people for 20%. That's the new norm. Instead of 20%, let's ask for 25%. That's the new norm. Like this crazy, creepy entitlement. Like, okay, we need to pump the brakes. Okay, is there a way to just get rid of this entirely? We need to ask like these companies that was it like Square and whatnot to get rid of the whole tipping thing. It's ridiculous. To get that off your system. Let's make tipping cash only. How about that? Cash only for tips. That should be the next thing. Other countries don't have a tipping system. The employees make the same wages as everyone else. That's how it should be. Because like when you go to a restaurant, you're thinking, oh, I'm just, hey, look, 1099 deal. Cool. You're not going to pay 1099. You're also going to leave a tip. Probably like maybe $5 on top of that, maybe $3. The item should not say 1099. It should say like $14.99 or something, or $15.99, with a small print saying no need to tip. Right? Because they're just going to use that money and give them the appropriate wages. For some reason, mind thinks, oh, $10.99, this place is cheaper, and just not even think about the tip, because you see another restaurant that says, $15.99, but no tip, people will be like, no, that's too expensive. This next comment, look at this. It's ridiculous. These days, a restaurant will charge $3 to $5 for delivery fees. I've seen more, but sure. And say, that's not the driver's tip. I think it should. Then the driver expects the customer to tip on top of the overpriced food and tax and fees. And God forbid you don't tip the driver enough that they try to end your life over it. I personally had stopped ordering food, having it delivered to me, because of the whole tip culture. It's bothering me. And it really, really bothers me. Like, I ordered pizza at this one company. I'm not going to blast them. Order online. Like, do you want to leave a tip? I'm like, no, I'm driving to your location. And then, like, when I drive and go pick up my food, ask if I want to leave a tip. I'm like, no, leave me alone. I did the work to get the food. Why? Because you got a wage to cooking the meal, and then you want more on top of it from the customer. You're trying to get money from the employer and the customer? F off. All right, I think I'm going to leave it to there in this video. If there's anything I missed, feel free to comment below. Please comment what you guys think about this whole situation. And I've been getting stabbed over a $2 tip. Like, holy crap. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are of tip culture. And be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Until next time, bye.